I have to be quick. They're listening. They're always listening. I saw a pigeon outside the window earlier. I know it was a government drone watching me. My arm's been itching ever since the vaccination. It must be the microchip working its way through my bloodstream, tracking me and listening to everything that I'm doing. Welcome to From the Ashes, Episode 8. No, it's okay. I haven't gone crazy. I'm not sitting down in a basement somewhere with a tinfoil hat on my head. Well, not yet anyway. It's early in the week still. This week on the podcast, my guest is British Wrestling's resident conspiracy theorist and my personal pick for the absolute breakout star of the next couple of years on the scene, Paddy O'Connor. We have a very, very interesting chat, very deep and personal chat. I've known Paddy for 4 years and we spoke about things and I learned things about Paddy that I'd never known up until this point. So it's a very interesting, very personal, very raw at times interview. And we have a really good talk about his career so far, his personal struggles he's been through, and a lot about this new character that we're doing. I'm really excited to see this once we restart, and I think he's going to absolutely set the scene on fire. Can't wait to get him back out there and see this go into full gear. So sit back and enjoy that. Before we do, I need to plug my new social media I've got going on. I've got me a Twitter page. From the Ashes 77 on Twitter. I'm posting all of the promo videos for the podcast, pictures on there for the podcast, nothing else, just podcast stuff. But follow me on that. Please follow me on Instagram as well and on Facebook. I'm flooding all bits of social media, so follow me, subscribe, like, everything possible. It helps with the algorithms, it helps me get followers, helps my personal feelings and makes me not cry in a corner anymore. And if you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, which I imagine you would be, please make sure you like and subscribe. And if possible, give me a 5-star review. Again, it helps get me up the charts, get people listening to me. And, it helps my self-confidence a little bit. And, everyone wants a little bit of that. And one other thing, I had a meeting last week in terms of UBW and what we're going to be doing for the future, when we're going to restart, how we're going to restart, and some new ideas. We got some very interesting ideas on the table of some different things to do. And I think it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be not only a restart, but it's going to be an evolution for UBW as a company. And I think it's going to be really, really fun and interesting and cool to be a part of. I'm excited to get back into it as soon as we can do and get everything going. It's going to be, it's going to light a fire under a lot of people. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the interview with Paddy O'Connor. It's a really good personal deep dive. Going to give you a whole different perspective on Paddy, and hopefully, much like me, it's going to make you really excited for the future and to see what's going to come out of him next. Enjoy the podcast, and I'll see you at the next one. Okay, the files have been unlocked. The redacted ones have been unredacted. I don't know what the word for that is. And the confidential papers are now released. It's time. I've got Mr. Paddy O'Connor on From the Ashes. Paddy, welcome.
Hi. How are you?
I notice you're being very careful in what you say there. Is that because you've got the government agents listening into everything?
I mean, they're always listening. Even though this is a private recording, I'm sure they have the technology these days with everything that they do.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, they're actually inside your phone, not just listening through it.
Oh, I've actually heard a conspiracy about iPhones where they're actually designed to pluck out your beard hairs, and then they analyze that beard hair and they send the information back to Apple.
Oh, that's got to be your best one. Yeah, I love it. Fantastic. Well, Paddy, welcome to the From the Ashes podcast. You're following the luminaries of Crowley, Bobby Tyler. Who else have I had on? Hugo, CJ, Tam, Tommy Kyle, but he doesn't really count. But yeah, I've wanted to make sure I get you on here as soon as possible because of all the characters we've got in UBW and beyond, yours I think is one of the ones we can talk about the most for a bunch of reasons, and we'll get onto that, of course. But it's certainly a character that's raising a lot of eyebrows and getting a lot of attention, and I think it's got a big roof limit. But we'll go through that. So. First of all, we'll start the way we start with most of these. Wrestling is a bizarre thing to want to get involved in. especially considering you are a qualified, certified um, graphic designer, and you have a great skill set at actually creating things and designing, and it's a trade, it's a career. Why would you swap that to get involved in wrestling and beat yourself up?
I've always wanted to wrestle, always since I was a kid. Um, and I don't know. It's the short answer of it. Um, I always thought Chris Jericho doing a dual career. Obviously, I'm not Chris Jericho, but he was a rock star at the same time as being a professional wrestler. Both of them at a high standard. I think I can handle, being a graphic designer and being a professional wrestler at the same time.
That's totally fair. So, I mean, what was it that drew you to wrestling in the first place? Do you remember do you have a first memory of it at all, or anything that you kind of saw and went, yeah, that's my hobby?
No, not really. I've had wrestling in my life my entire life because my dad and my brothers used to watch it before I was born. So it was always on in the background. Um, we used to, it was our thing that we did when we stayed up. We were allowed to stay up to watch wrestling. Um, Even when we didn't have cable and stuff, my dad would be borrowing tapes from his teacher friends, so that we could watch the pay-per-views. So yeah, I've watched it since I was a baby. Literally since I was a baby, I've never not watched it. It's been the only consistent thing in my life.
And what do you think it was about it that really grabbed you? I mean, for some of it, it's the larger than life characters. For some people, it's the grandioseness of the presentation. For others, it's the other side of it. It's the realness of the presentation. What about it was it for you? Was it the kind of superhero, supervillain side of it, or something else?
I think it's a bit of everything. I like the big larger than life characters. I'm into all the stupidity of wrestling. That's my favorite part of wrestling. But also the way that they use the stupidity of wrestling to then contrast that with seriousness, where they catch you off guard and then they've got you emotionally invested into like this thing that 10 minutes ago was the stupidest show on TV, and now they've got you hooked, like thinking about who's going to be win this most prestigious prize. But yeah, it's a bit of everything to answer your question.
Yeah, and then I can understand that completely because for me, that's the draw with any kind of movies or anything. Like if you look at the Marvel franchise, which is obviously the biggest franchise in the world,
Mm,
you've got. I was watching the Avengers again recently, and it's the middle of the biggest battle scene that the world has ever seen, and alien invasion and everything. And then halfway through, Iron Man and Thor stop, and they have a bit of a chat about something, a bit of a laugh. And in Infinity War, they're like, "No, you have the small hammer. I want a big hammer."
yeah,
While they're threatening death by all these alien invaders, and then 10 minutes later on, you're in tears watching one of your favourites die because you're emotionally invested in that character and that's why I think they've got the perfect formula with it. And like you say, wrestling can be the same, and when it's done the same, that formula is perfect because you care about them, but you also want to be able to connect with them, and you don't just want a drone out there. I shouldn't mention drones. Sorry.
oh no, yeah, they're everywhere. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's I think I think wrestling doesn't get enough credit for being such a diverse art form with
Mm.
subgenres and everything you would expect from an art form, and in a way, I think it competes with something like film. Only it doesn't have the same kind of reputation as film.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest struggle there is film admits what it is.
Mm,
Wrestling, it admits what it is, but it doesn't. I think wrestling is too self-deprecating because you don't have Robert Downey Jr. stand there and go, "Yeah, well, Iron Man, it's all CGI and it's all just pretend, and I'm actually standing around all day." And I mean, really, I could do a painting that'd be a bit more, artistic. No, he'll stand there at a press release and go, "This is amazing. It's an amazing crew." He doesn't talk about the CGI. He doesn't talk about all the stuff that's behind the curtain. He acknowledges it, but he's putting that over the whole time he's doing it. And I was watching an interview he did the other day, and he was talking about Tropic Thunder.
mm.
And all the years after that, 15 years or so after that, he's still putting it over as what a great work of art that was. And I think that's where wrestling is struggling at the moment because I think wrestling is trying too hard to put itself down to get people to appreciate it, whereas people don't tend to do that too often.
Yeah, I do totally agree that it's way too self-deprecating. I think, and obviously, it having comedy in it and it being able to joke about itself and be self-referential, that doesn't mean that it can also take itself seriously and it can also be proud of itself.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. But we'll get out of the philosophical discussion for a second, as good as it is. Let's talk about you. So, when you first started out with us at UBW, that was what 2017 maybe 2016.
Yeah, end of 2017. It was like November 2017.
And what drew you? What kind of I say drew you to us? What made you end up at UBW? Had you looked around and seen different places? Was it the closest one to you, or was there anything? Because I've heard mixed feedbacks thus far. Some people were it's the closest one to me, and some other people have said, yeah, it didn't look very good at first, but it's all I could get to. What was it for you?
I can tell you the context of my life leading up to me on your doorstep if you want.
Absolutely. This
Because
is all about personal stuff. Let's go through it.
yeah, it was a crazy kind of time in my life. It was really kind of a lot of heavy stuff on top of heavy stuff. I don't mind telling you the entire story. It's make for good TV.
Yeah,
Um,
the floor is yours.
so basically, I've been homeless twice in my life. The first time was kind of intense. That was in central London, but I'm not going to say how I got in or out of it. But the second time was because I broke up with my son's mum, and I had just had nowhere to go. So I reached out to my family, and I like they actually came through for me and actually moved in with my sister in Chesterfield, which is um, near Sheffield. And I had
Mm.
two things that coming out of this relationship, having a new lease on life. I'd gone through 7 years of hell with this woman, and I just wanted to kind of take my life back. I had two things that I wanted to do from the very beginning where I met her that I had to kind of put on hold to kind of be around her and do the things she wanted to do. One of those things was get my master's degree, and the other thing was become a professional wrestler. And I'm already like 27 at this time, so time's ticking. I'm already too late for both of these things realistically. But I knuckle down and I get myself into university in Sheffield, um, and I'm working a full time job. I'm doing my university studies, and then every weekend I'm having to come back down to Stevenage to see Riley for maybe 45 minutes before I have to go on the way back home because it's a without a car that's a 7 hour journey for me,
Yeah.
including having to like walk an hour to get to the bus station and everything. So basically, I'm doing all that, and then I'm thinking, on top of all this stuff that I'm doing, I also want to become a professional wrestler, and time is ticking. So I'm looking around, and there's a wrestling school in Matlock, which is like on the next town from Chesterfield where I live. But I'm thinking I also probably need to move back down to Stevenage to be with Riley at some stage. So I'm looking into ones in around Stevenage, and I find you. But problem is, I'm living on one side of the country, you're on the other side of the country. So eventually, I get a job down in Stevenage. Saved up all my money from my full time job. Convinced my university that I can do it. I can do my university degree without you, which I did. I proved them wrong. And yeah, moved back down here. Went through a whole lot of hell to like get into that position. Um, Turned up on your doorstep. Walked down a very long, desolate road in the middle of a town that I've never heard of in Hitchin. Um, in the middle of literal nowhere, down a long, dusty road, and there I saw Ben Loader in Lycra.
There's a name from the past. I mean, I've known you almost 4 years, and even I didn't know your story to that depth. And that's that's actually quite mind blowing to hear that.
A catchphrase.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been through various trials and tribulations of various things and different reasons for ending up where we are now. But that's really something to go through that and still have your goals in mind and still push towards them and still achieve them. To achieve one of them in a lifetime is something. To achieve both is something else. And like I've mentioned to CJ when we talked about his injury, having the drive to keep going
Mm.
through that kind of turmoil. That's incredible. How did you keep yourself going? Because that's a very daunting time, and you're a young parent, you've got a young child, you've got a relationship that's full of this problematic situation, you've got this distance problem. How do you keep pushing forward and keep positive through that?
I think, as I mentioned, the first time I was homeless, I kind of developed a very positive mental attitude. Whereas I was always looking at things glass half full, if to be kind of cliche. But I was always thinking, like at least it's not raining. At least I've got like £2 in my pocket. At least all these things, you look at the things you do have as opposed to the things you don't have. Um, Also, at that time, I was thinking I just need to keep momentum going. I just need to, if I keep doing things, I'm going to keep achieving things, and I'm going to get to my goal eventually. At the time, I was doing all these things at the same time. It wasn't like I did my university degree, and then I started wrestling, and then I moved house, and then I had to get a day job, and I did literally all of these things at the same time. So when I started wrestling, I was doing my degree, my master's degree thesis, which takes a lot of work in and of itself. I was traveling to see Riley 6 7 hours each way to go see him, and then I was going to training, going to the gym as well, and learning everything I could about wrestling in my downtime. So yeah, it was just a case of momentum, really.
Yeah, that's incredible, and I think that speaks to your character a tremendous amount as a person. Because, and we'll get into this as we go along, but you have always been one of the most grounded and sensible people that have come through that door, and clearly it's the life experiences that have done that, and it's incredible to see, and it's good to see. But I find people that can have that strength of character through that kind of shit. Basically, it's quite incredible.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. My mentality coming into wrestling was like, if I can put all this work into something that I just have to do, imagine like what kind of power and energy I can put into something that I'm actually passionate about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that that's a hell of an origin story, to be honest, in itself. Wow, yeah, quite blown away by that, Paddy. I didn't even know that. But hey, that's what this podcast is for. It's to dig into those bits and pieces that we didn't know about each other. And yeah, I mean, it's up there with Skip telling me that his favourite thing in the world is a bum hose. But that's incredible. That's amazing. Oh, so yeah, I mean, I remember when you first turned up and you walked in and we saw you and kind of thought, who is this Viking looking son of a bitch with the long red hair and the piercing blue eyes? And you're one of those people that as you walked in, we looked and went, okay, he's got that spark. And if we can do something with this, let's see what he's like. And initially, straight away, you're kind of showing, okay, he's an extreme athlete. He can do anything physically as well. Hey, try a standing moonsault, Paddy. Okay, you can do that. Hey, try a 450, Paddy. Okay, you can do that as well. And you just picked it up naturally, and you had that real good base as well. You had some kind of martial arts experience before wrestling, didn't you?
Kinda. I did like maybe a year or two of judo when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
nothing that I put on my CV. So I knew how to bump. Was the main thing. I think the first thing when I came in was I already knew how to bump, and you were like, "Are you sure you haven't gone to training before?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Yeah, you were. Yeah, there was that. You picked up the bumping very quickly, and you had what we call a wrestler's base very quickly. So immediately, the little alarms were going off in my head, going, "Where's this guy actually from?" Because you just had that foundation straight away. But I've always said to people, even if you spend 6 months doing judo or karate, you understand wrestling so much easier. It gives you a set-up start point.
Yeah, I actually went back to judo this year. I did maybe 2 lessons. Tore my shoulder, got the shit kicked out of me, and had realized I actually forgot everything that I learned as a kid. And yeah, I had to nix it because I was also wrestling. I was thinking, if I'm getting injured doing this as well as doing wrestling,
So what ended up happening to your shoulder?
literally just I don't know what exactly it was, but it was rolling around with some of the guys at the judo place. I just kind of hyperextended it. Um, yeah, and I was just wearing tape for a couple matches after that.
Ouch. Ouch. Not nice. Well, at least we've had a global pandemic to let you heal. That's something.
Yeah, no, this was long ago. This was like last year.
So so when you first come in, we knew straight away that we had an athlete on our hands. And the biggest struggle was at first was finding the right thing for you to be. It was no surprise to us that you were going to make it to shows, and we knew we wanted to get you on as quick as possible. And obviously we had that show in Littleport for Spectrum where yourself, Tommy Kyle, Brad, Robbie Boy, all debuted on the same night. But whereas they were all part of that Survivor Series match, so they were limited in what they were doing, we had you in the Rumble and going over in the Rumble as well, because we knew straight away that this guy's they've got the talent to be something by himself. Just needs to find the right character. Now, as we talked about when I was talking to Tam, sometimes you haven't got necessarily the inspiration, so you go with what's easiest or what's in front of you.
Mm.
So we made you an Irishman.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been to Ireland.
No. I don't even remember. I think we just put two and two
Yeah,
together.
my name's Paddy. I've got ginger hair. Done.
Exactly. But, we didn't have anything else to go with at the time. And the key thing was get you on shows, get you out there, get you experience, get you involved.
Mm.
And it was, I always say with it, it's an easy character to do because you're in England.
Yeah.
So immediately you're a unique commodity in that sense.
It was an easy thing to do within UBW, but then when I started to get bookings outside of UBW, and there was actual Irish wrestlers on shows who weren't even doing an Irish gimmick, because like why would they? They're a person, and I'm here being a goddamn leprechaun. But also more awkwardly was having Irish fans want to talk to me after the show. So like I'd be doing the ring or whatever, and they would come over to me and start asking me what part of Ireland I'm from, and I'm like, I've never. Well, I wouldn't say it to them. I try and like be as quiet as I could so they couldn't hear my shitty Irish accent. But I just go along with it. But I've never been there. I probably couldn't name 5 places in Ireland.
Where are you from?
I'm from,
Dublin. What part?
yeah.
South. Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
but look, it did its job. It got you out there, it got you on shows, and the fans loved you straight away because they connected with you. And it was interesting because you were literally, and figuratively, literally as well as figuratively, the most white meat baby face imaginable.
Yeah.
You were pure. You were lovely. You were honest. You were, hey, I'm Paddy fighting a good fight. But they loved it because these are wrestling fans. They don't care about the smart side of nuances of everything. You're a likable person. They liked you, and people connected with you straight away. And we had several kids early on that just literally they started coming to shows wearing green and orange coloured gear and carrying Irish flags and stuff. They absolutely loved you.
Yeah. It was easy at the beginning.
Yeah. Did you find that it helped you kind of find your feet? Because the idea was for you to do it for a little while to find yourself. Did you find that you felt you had the confidence to go out there and perform because you had this gimmick to back you up, or was it quite the other way around?
No, absolutely. Also because we were doing Littleport and we were doing the charity shows for kids, and we were doing very kid based stuff. It gave me all the confidence in the world. Like if I can do it here and I can get this reaction, I need to, I only need to push myself so much further to get a reaction from an adult audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really instilled a lot of confidence into me just to go out there. Like first time going out there, I was concerned about going in public without a shirt on for the first time.
Mm.
So now just going out there doing everything that I'm doing now, being vocal and everything is small potatoes in.
I mean, from my perspective, I can see the growth over the years of your confidence and your presence in there. You've gone from being someone who's okay, I'm starting my journey out in this wild wrestling world, to now you're like, yeah, this is what I do.
Yeah.
You can see the growth in you. I was watching back some stuff recently, and you can see the evolution of you drastically. But the Irish gimmick was a good vehicle to get you started off. I think also having that long time feud with Spike probably helped as well, because you had the opportunity to get that comfort with someone and have familiarity with someone and try new things out. Because often when you're working someone for the first time, as you know, you're careful because you don't know what they're like. But with you and Spike, you're just like, oh yeah, we know our stuff, and you could see the evolution in your matches as well.
Yeah, definitely. it's also because I started the feud. Well, I think we had kind of two feuds. One where I was the face and he was the heel. One where I was the heel, like with the one that we were doing just before we broke up.
Yeah.
Um, and being able to contrast those as well, like just shows how much I've learned since we've started this. Because I can now just go out there and I can just switch on my character. I don't have to put any kind of thought into it whatsoever. Um, yeah, it's just being having have done the other way around first, like really gives you the kind of the confidence to go out and do it the other way around.
Absolutely. No, I think that's always an interesting challenge when you're working with someone you've worked with a lot of times, but you switch roles because you've got two choices. You either literally switch and I do the stuff that guy used to do, or you flip your own stuff in your own version of like a darker or lighter version of that. It's a big challenge
Yeah,
because what I find interesting is a challenge to take the stuff, say the spots or whatever that you've done before, and redo them, but in a different way and reversing roles. It's challenging to do that. And I think you can be very creative with doing that.
yeah, definitely. Spike is so easy to work with, though. That's the other thing. Is like if you ever want to give anyone confidence in a match, put him in there with Spike because you know he's going to take everything well. You know he's going to remember everything. You know he's going to have a million ideas out in the back. So yeah, it makes it much easier going. And also, Spike was he was training before me, and obviously when I was coming into wrestling, there was a lot of times where I'd be walking. We'd have to walk like almost an hour from the station to get to training. And I'd always be talking to him about like, what have you learned? Like you're a bit ahead of me in training. And he'd be always giving me good tips, good advice. Like one of the best ones that he ever gave me was when you're in training, take as many moves as you can because that's 50% of what you're doing is taking moves. So you should get good at it, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. He's got his head screwed on that one.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. And, his journey we'll get into when I get him on, but his journey's been fantastic to watch as well.
Mm, definitely.
So we got to a point, I think, the best part of 2 years ago now, where everything he was doing was really good. Everything you were putting out there was fantastic, but you were kind of in a bit of a holding pattern.
Yeah.
And I think you'd done as much as you could do with that gimmick.
Yep.
And other people were getting a bit of a quote unquote run at the time. Yourself and Tam were both just kind of, as I said on his podcast, without a pun intended, circling the runway a little bit.
Yeah.
Both kind of needed something to do, which does happen because it's I always liken it to on the sushi bar when you've got the thing going around in the circle.
Yeah.
I don't mean to compare people to sushi, but it takes time for stuff to come around,
Yeah.
and other people have to have a run. Other people have to sometimes prop up a card, sometimes not on a card, but we were kind of struggling as to what to do with you both, and I was desperate for something, and the idea came about of taking you up together.
Yeah.
And we had many discussions about a name for you and what we were going to do. But I always knew what I wanted you guys to be as a team. And that was always kind of like a mix of the New Age Outlaws and a kind of mix of, I don't know if you know the guys from All Japan, but Doug Furness and Dan Crowfat. Just this kind of real kick-ass, got the great basics, but at the same time, they're two singles guys that have been forced together by situation, and they're just going to go out and just smash the place to pieces, which I think you guys did. What were the thoughts going through your head when we came up with the idea for the tag team? And were you thinking like, well, this is an opportunity to do something different? Or were you thinking, I'm not really keen on this? Where was your head at?
Like same as you, I felt like I didn't want to do the Irish thing anymore, and I think I spent like maybe 2 years trying to explain to you that I don't want to do it anymore, and I've got a better idea. And you were not taking on to this idea that I was giving you, which obviously is the conspiracy theorist one. But
Yeah.
At the very least, I wanted a transitional period from that to this. But also working with Tam, is never going to be difficult. He's probably the best technical guy out there. He's probably the best, most proficient guy out there. Probably the most hardworking guy that we've got in there. So also being able to hone my skills in tag team wrestling, it was never a complaint to me, not at all.
That's good. I mean, there was a little bit of a a kind of clandestine plan on my side as well, because I knew that where Tam needed to get more confidence on himself as a character, he could get that from you, and how you probably needed a bit more confidence in just your flow in there and your your wider work side. So your work was good, but there's that little bit of something different, a little bit of something extra as a heel.
Yeah.
I knew that with Tam, with what he was doing, you'd probably be able to feed off of that. And the idea was going to be that you would symbiotically take from each other, which I think you did a lot.
Mm.
And it was great to see you tagging because I knew that it would work. But put it this way, I wouldn't have put you guys in there with Johnny and Jody if I didn't think that you were going to be as good as expected. And that match with Johnny and Jody was absolutely breathtaking.
Oh yeah.
And they're not easy guys to keep up with.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of felt like, everything kind of just kind of kicked in that match. It felt like a lot. I learned a lot of lessons from that match, from just being in there, and a lot of things clicking as it was happening. But yeah, I felt really chill in that match because obviously I'm in there with three pros.
Yeah, I mean, with those two, I've always said if you can't have a good match with Johnny Storm, you can't have a good match with anybody. And with Jody, if you can't be in there with Jody and pull off something that's going to steal the show, and he's got to drag you along, then go back onto the Academy shows. But you guys not only kept up with them, but you went toe to toe, and you came out of that looking just as good.
Mm.
And it was great because it was a vindication of the whole tag thing. It was fantastic. But going back to what you said before about you pushing the conspiracy theorist gimmick on me, yeah,
Yeah.
I was very, very blocking of that for a long while. And I think a lot of it was, to be honest, a lot of it was I was concerned that you were going to influence kids with this stuff. But I think I'm one of these people sometimes where I need to see it tangibly in action.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it in action, I kind of went, yeah, okay, this is too good to not do.
Mm.
And then, of course, we went with it.
Yeah. I think the first match was at Luton Live,
Yes.
or Lives, against CJ, wasn't it? And you literally had me booked in there as the Irish character, and I was telling you that entire day. Can I just do it for this one? Let me just show you for this one time. Let me just show you. I've got a Tron made up. I've got entrance music made up. I've synced my own entrance music. Let me just do it for like this one time. If it sucks, like never let it do it again. But I've got miles of ideas for this character, and yeah, you let me do it, and the rest is history. I didn't want to try it somewhere else either. I wanted to try it at UBW. I wanted your approval of it because I knew, like, getting your approval on it meant like it will work elsewhere. But yeah.
No, you had to convince me, but you convinced me. There's a couple of times where people have done this, and I've been reluctant to do it, and then I see it in action, and I'm okay. And I know I have no problem admitting I'm wrong, or I have no problem being convinced of something I'm against. Sometimes I just take a bit more convincing than others. But I'm glad to be wrong on that one because I didn't think it was going to work. But I think the fact that you've got so much drive to make it work, and you've got so many ideas, that's it can run away with itself in that sense.
Yeah.
What was the reasoning for that character? What drove you to do that character?
Beyond it being just me, it's not even me at 10. It's me at like 8. But beyond that, it's also I thought that my personal character as a human being, Paddy Byrne, is more interesting than Paddy O'Connor at the time, the Irish character. I just kind of found it. I go out there and I smile. Like, what else? And also, it's kind of a representation of our media landscape. I think if someone can look at something and see it as something that's really easily recognizable, conspiracy theorist. It's like we all know what that is. It's very prevalent in our media at the moment. Like you can define it in those two words. Everyone's got an idea of what a conspiracy theorist is, but also have that. But then also the kind of the depth to it as well, which you can also explore and bring into that character, which obviously it can do in the future, and I can bring it into other realms as well. So yeah, kind of a mixture of wanting to be able to express myself and also wanting to be reflective of what is going on in the world.
And it's funny because everyone I speak to about it, nobody quite knows just how real it is. Nobody quite knows, is this is this really Paddy, or is this all a work? It's interesting. Nobody wants to ask you. Nobody wants to find out. It's an interesting one. We leave it as it is, but it's a good character, and I think, and I'm talking to somebody else at the moment about what they're doing and trying to get them to box what they are
Yeah,
and to also change that a little bit because um, you know yourself, I've done this with you. I always say to people, sum up who you are in 2 words. If you can't sum it up in 2 words, you can't sell it. And you know yourself, as branding and as marketing, you have to be able to sell something in a few seconds, and it has to be very easy to understand what it is. If you have to explain it, it's not going to work.
yeah, exactly. It's like a joke, isn't it? If you have to explain it, it's not funny.
Absolutely. But I'm really glad we've gone with it, and I think it's not even started to get its legs underneath it yet.
Oh.
It's got a lot of potential. But I'm looking forward to when we actually can get back on the shows, doing so much more with it.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing is like I really felt like the last couple of shows I did, not just at UBW, but the ones I was doing coming up to that show, I was really starting to find my feet, find my voice as that character, being able to just switch it on at a moment's notice, having all the moves set down. I felt like I had so much momentum going when this all cut off. So yeah, that was really annoying.
Yeah. Well, I think turning heel really made you. I think it was one of the turning points for you because you had all the athletic ability in the world, you had all the performance ability in the world, and you had all the good character qualities to make you a likable babyface. But as we've said, partly because of the gimmick as well, it was two dimensional at best.
Yeah,
But this, and as a prelude to it, a bad altitude run, it allowed you to be so much more expressive, allowed you to play around more. And I think that the heel turn absolutely made you and took you up, jumped up several levels straight away. And you went from being a real integral part of the roster to being one of the main players.
yeah,
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with it next.
yeah. I'm ready to go, man. I'm hungry. I want to do more.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's come at the time it has, but, you know, we're going to pick it up. I mean, one of the things I was talking to Crowley about and somebody else as well as CJ was a lot of people have banded around the ideas of do we do a hard reset when we restart, and I don't think we do because some people have started to get some momentum under them. I think it depends. Some people can be rebooted, some not. But I think we've put a teaser out there with you now, and people either brand new to it are going to be able to look at it and go, "Oh, this is something he's fully fleshed in," and then we can give some kind of backstory.
Yeah,
And those that are already with us on the journey, they want to see what's next with it.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Going back to the first show when you won the Rumble and you came out of that as the Spectrum champion, as the Rumble winner, that was really good, I think, because it really set you up in people's eyes as being a contender on the show, even though they didn't know you and you didn't have a wild, colourful gimmick. It set you up straight away. Then we had the Young Lions run with the belt, and then we got onto the tag belts. Realistically, you've covered a lot of ground in UBW thus far, and you've won most of the belts. Do you feel that kind of stuff that quickly, so very early going on into the Young Lions belt feud with Spike, do you feel being thrust into that very quickly, very early on, was a help to you or a hindrance?
Absolutely a help. Especially as you said, like the first match that I did was going over at the end of the show, winning a cup, and then having that push straight away from day one. I think again, like what we were saying right at the beginning of this podcast, it gives you momentum, and I very much I appreciate that was pretty much made from that first show, in terms of UBW. But yeah, I felt like all of that helped. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm a big believer that sometimes you've got to throw people in the deep end. Now, if they struggle to swim, okay, take them back to the shallow end. If they swim like an Olympian, leave them there. They're absolutely fine. You rose to that straight away, and I'll admit it. It was a bit of a test from me. I test everybody, as you well know, because I'm a big believer in that. But you well, you never faltered. You never had a bad match. You never struggled. You never had any problems with it. You flowed through absolutely fine, which was one of the reasons why when you were in that holding pattern, it was literally painful to me as a booker because I was like, I need to be doing so much more with him. I need something more. We just need that hook, that something. Um, but you can look back on your entire catalogue of stuff, and it's been really good. Do you think, in terms of branching out to the other feds and the other places, what do you think was a turning point for you having the confidence to do that? Because some people find it daunting to go outside of their home promotion. Some people find it very easy. Did you find it easy to do so? And if so, why? And if you found it hard, why?
Honestly, it was just a logical step. Um, I got into wrestling not knowing who UBW was, or actually, I didn't know who any wrestling promotion was in British wrestling because I'd never watched British wrestling until I started actually wrestling. So for me, it was just a case of I turned up at day one training, thinking, all right, I just want to do some training so that I can see that if I started this 10 years ago, I could have done something good with it. And then, you gave me the opportunity that there were shows coming up, and I was like, okay, I just want to go on one show. I'll just do one show. I'll prove that I can do it. And then you put me in a position where I won at the end of a show, and I'm like, okay, now I got to do more. And then obviously the next logical step was like, okay, now I need to get bookings elsewhere because I want to do more of this. And then I'm guessing that over time just gonna want to do more and more and get the next achievement on the block.
It's a drug.
Yep.
And once you have one shot, you want a bigger shot, and you only want another shot, and then you want some more potent stuff. It does have that. But it was good for me to see you getting out there very early on. I think Kapow was one of the first places, because you get to work sometimes different styles, different people, different crowds. It helps you grow more as a performer.
Mm.
And I thought it was very beneficial to you because you took all that experience and you brought it back, and then you took the experience from UBW, took it elsewhere, and it helps you become more well-rounded. And it helps you form a bond with those that you're traveling with. So,
Yeah.
yourself and Tam and Brad and Ant and Justin, and you've got that bond between you as a group, which is it's very valuable and it's very hard to keep sometimes.
Mm.
But I think you've had a good group of people you've been around as well has helped you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Our group, we still have a chat that we talk in every day on Facebook. We're still sending each other like random memes all the time. Still very much like, sending each other videos. What do you think of this spot? What do you think of this spot? We're very kind of, what's the word? Um, uh, Nice to each other. What's the word I'm looking for, Paul?
Yeah, you've got that kind of camaraderie,
That's the one.
support network.
What is the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for? Yeah.
And wrestling can be unbelievably selfish and very backstabby.
Yeah.
So to have people you can rely on and trust is it's in it. What's the word I'm looking for? Invaluable.
Definitely. I think I was at the level that we're at, like the cohort that you taught that I was in. We're kind of at that level where we're just beneath the kind of backstabby stuff, but we're probably just going to start to get into that soon.
Yeah,
Obviously, not with each other. No, we're not going to get into the backstabbies as in we're going to,
give it time. Give it time.
but, we're probably going to experience that quite soon.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, I always say to people, what annoys me is when people say, "Oh, I hate the politics in wrestling." Because my answer is that exists in real world, it exists in real life. You go into any corporate job, there's politics and there's backstabbing, and there's people that get pushes that shouldn't do. It's the real world.
But
But
again, I think this is something that comes in life experience as well. Is that I guess you and me, being the ages that we are, we expect that because we go through that every day in our jobs.
Yeah.
Say if 'cause I was talking at the beginning of the podcast, like if I wanted to do wrestling because I wanted to see how I could have done if I had started when I was young enough to do so, and I admit to myself I'm very envious of people who do start when they're 16. But then again, it's like the life experience that you've gained from starting at 16 to starting to 27, and you've gone through shit like you said, and a lot of that is like corporate shit and backstabbing shit and learning that people aren't your friend and all that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of handy in wrestling as well.
I had this exact conversation in my last podcast with Hugo, and we were talking about this and how the real world and actually going through things in life strengthen you as a person. And they're essential for wrestling because in real life, you get let down. In real life, you're not going to get the main event push. In real life, you are going to be a bit part player. And in real life, you are going to have to work for years to get a promotion.
Yeah,
Those kind of things in everyday life are completely analogous to wrestling, but they help you deal with them. Like, I remember it was only a few years ago, I worked at Kapow show and they said to me, well, do you mind opening the show, being the first match on? I said, of course I don't care. I don't mind at all. It means I can get changed quicker.
yeah,
But I didn't have like, oh no, I want to be higher up the card because I've got 20 years experience. Well, no, because if I go to a new job tomorrow, they're going to say, right, mate, you got to learn from the beginning, from the ground upwards. You got to start from the beginning.
mm,
So it's real life.
yeah, it is.
But we're just old. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's something that I was just starting to learn in wrestling anyway was how much of that just applies and how much ego you have to leave at the door anyway.
Yeah,
Because
really.
maybe I should be seeing myself as a commodity, and maybe a good part of that commodity is that I can be anywhere on the card. Isn't that a better selling point than always perpetually wanting to be in the main event?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you always want to be the main event or you always want to be a featured act, it makes it very hard for promoters, and it makes promoters shy away from using you.
Mm,
If you're happy to just be a part of it and you'll slot in wherever, whether it's singles division, tag division, opening the show, finishing the show, rumble, whatever, you've got a job for life. And we've seen that over the years in the big time and in the small time. It's the ones that are constantly knocking down my door going, well, I've got this idea for a 25 match series and I have to be the main event for it.
yeah.
That's when I go, yeah, all right, I can't work that in.
Mm, yeah.
But it's a life skill.
Yeah.
So on to that actually. One thing with you, and I was thinking about this. I was going to mention this, and this is a perfect segue into it. You're incredibly easygoing, and you're very quiet. You're very professional backstage and everything. And you're one of the people that people always say when it comes to the locker room, you're one of the ones that people look to because you've got the right attitude when you're there. You keep yourself to yourself, but you intermingle with people. You don't try and take over the room. You behave, which is quite funny because you're literally one of the funniest people of the entire roster.
Am I?
You are incredibly dry. Your comedic timing is hilarious, and I don't think you realize it, which is good in a way because it helps you keep yourself in check. But going on to the bigger point of it, I think your biggest issue is you don't give yourself enough credit, and you don't have any ego, and you don't want to have a big ego, but you need to have a little bit.
Mm,
And I think your biggest Achilles heel is you're such a good guy. You don't build yourself up enough. You don't walk around saying, yeah, you know what? I am a commodity. I am something special.
yeah.
Because you are. And I think that's the evolution of you as a person and within wrestling is the next thing that you need to start letting yourself know and telling everybody else what a big deal you are.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also I didn't want to burn out too early. I didn't want to, obviously, if I go out there and I don't have the skills that I'm saying I have, and I go out there and I try and prove that I have skills that I don't have yet, then obviously I'm gonna leave that impression in people's minds. So I do want to kind of want to do that at the right time when I can actually back that up, and I'm still learning.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The route you've taken thus far has been absolutely right. It's been perfect because I have seen, and even in very close quarters, I've seen other people that have wanted to go for the moon straight away, and they have burnt out immediately. I've seen it with a couple of the major players.
Mm,
So it's having the right kind of mix of that. But I think you're at the point now where the next step of you is, yeah, you know what? I am something. I am. I mean, Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm doesn't walk around telling everybody how good he is,
yeah,
but he sells himself and presents himself in a way that you know you're dealing with a professional.
yeah, definitely.
And that's the next thing for you to be seen as, I think. And you've got all the talent in the world to do it, but I think that's the next step for you to be seen as a commodity rather than just part of the show.
Yeah, definitely. And I do actually I appreciate you saying about being seen as someone in the locker room as well. because that is something that I want to be seen as, is someone who is approachable and doesn't have any ego and is willing to put in what they have to do to make the show better, as opposed to just myself, and be seen as a professional. So yeah, thank you for saying that.
Well, also with me as well, you know, and I've said this to various people, that the most important thing to me on a show is a locker room.
Yeah,
What goes on in the ring is important, of course it is. It's your product, but with an unhappy or problematic locker room, it's pointless. And I have had people who are big stars or big talents that I've used and I will never use again because they've made a locker room unhappy because their problems, because their ego. We won't name names, but they'll never get back on the show because of that reason. And I'd rather take the hit and not have this big star in the show than have a problematic locker room. Just won't do it.
yeah.
Yeah, but you are seen as that by people. People do see you as someone to go to and as a locker room leader. And it's good for me to know that you're back there the whole time because I can rely upon you. And yeah, onto the other point, you are a lot funnier than I think you realise.
I don't know about that. I think a lot of the time I'm just speaking my mind, and then people find it funny, and I think they're actually laughing at me as opposed to with me.
Bit of column A, bit of column B, maybe. No, so looking forward, I mean, I'm very, very excited for when we restart as to what we're going to do, and I've got big plans for various people when we restart, and I want to do a lot of things with you and with the gimmick. And I think we've got a lot of potential that we can do.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, thus far and going forward, what has driven you to this point, and what drives you now for the next year, 2 years, 3 years? What's your motivation and your drive to think? Because in the past 12 months, a lot of people have lost a lot of faith in wrestling for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said, like, I just don't want to be a part of this anymore. Understandably. What's keeping you going and what's driving you to say, okay, when we eventually restart, I'm going to smash this?
Oh man, I'm hungrier than ever right now because I've had a year off of it. Obviously, I'm 33 right now, and I'm still a newbie. I'm still in year. Well, if we don't include like the year that we've had off, I'm in year 3. So I'm still a noob, and I'm already 33 years old, and I've had a year off, and that pisses me off really because it's like the momentum that I was on. It was like it's just the start of momentum as well. It wasn't like I got really far and then I was cut off and I can carry that on. It was like literally it was just starting to spark up for me, and having that year off has just been like, all right, well, that cut off really quickly. And sorry, what was the question? It was about motivation, wasn't it? What's motivating me? Is that like there's so much ahead of me, like still, and I don't have as much time as perhaps people who are 10 years younger than me. So I want to obviously get as far as I can with this, and I don't have as much time as other people do.
So the one thing I will say to that, and this is something I've had to beat Crowley over the head with, I've had to beat Evie over the head with, don't ever look at what time is left.
Yeah.
Don't do it because it's like watching a clock. The afternoon always goes so much slower when you're looking at the clock thinking, I've only got half an hour left till I finish work. I've only got 15 minutes left. Don't look at the clock because you know what? In recent times, more than ever, we've had that proven that that's a load of BS. Edge, Christian. I mean, AJ Styles, John Cena, Brock Lesnar are my age.
Yeah.
And AJ's just come into his own the last couple of years. He's really peaked it. Edge is older than me. Christian is older than me. And, they're in their late 40s. And they're incredible.
Yeah.
There are so many people now and historically, a lot of guys don't really kind of click it and reach their peak until they hit about the 40 to 42 mark. And something just happens. So you've got all the time in the world. And, hey, Crowley's a good example that things can happen overnight.
Yeah.
And that rocketary kind of. Sorry, I shouldn't use rockets because you don't really believe in
well, there's no
the Earth being spherical and stuff.
Why do they have rockets?
And the space, yeah. But that kind of meteoric rise that can happen. So don't worry about what time is left. Worry about what is left.
Yeah.
Don't ever let the clock rule you on this business. Honestly, I've seen it screw with people's minds way too much.
Well, I was kind of giving you the pessimistic side of it, but the other side of the coin to me is that I see myself as a lifer in wrestling, no matter what level it's at, and no matter what I'm doing. I see myself doing this for the rest of my life. Like even if I my first match back, I get a debilitating injury and I'm out forever. I'm still a graphic designer. I still have marketing skills. I'm still one day definitely going to come out with my own promotion and promote the shit out of that. Um, so yeah, I've still got lots I can do. I'm now training the newbies at Square One as well, which is rewarding in and of itself.
Yeah, and I think that is a tremendous thing to have teaching, because I know it advanced me overnight, just being able to work with people on things, because you tend to find that you tighten up your own stuff
Yeah,
and you find what you're doing wrong, and you grow immensely in doing that. And I think you've got so much, because you're so well grounded. I think you've got so much positive influence you can give to them to help them shape themselves and grow as performers. I think it'll be great for them.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've got as long in this as you want.
At the beginning of it, I was quite skeptical, Justin asking me to do it. I'm only 3 years in. But then actually, when we got there, me and Tam were doing it. Tam's already a teacher. Actually, it turned out that, you don't know how much you know until you're teaching somebody new.
That is so true. Honestly, it's so true. And it's a combination of, you don't realize how much you don't know, and you don't realize how much you're doing things not quite right.
Yeah.
And you may have learned it right, but you get into bad habits when you're out there working.
Yep.
And it's essential stuff. It's very helpful. But I think, Square One in itself, there's such a plethora of varied and good people teaching there, and great people coming through, and good values. I think it's got such a great future. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. The new guys are getting it as well.
They are, and I think we've got a lot of promise in a lot of them.
Mm.
But onto your other point as well about your outside of wrestling real world skill sets. Your skill set and your capability and your experience and your speciality in graphic design has helped UBW as a company immensely, because I look back on stuff, and I was looking back on it recently on old posters and old videos and stuff, and I was doing the best I could with the limited knowledge. And looking back, like, okay, they're better than some, but not all that. And I see how that's kind of grown over time, and that's all been through you, because you've taught me so much, and you've given me advice on things, and told me to rein that in and stop putting in special effects and filters on this stuff. Sometimes you have to with some of the promo pics you get, but I think that's helped our branding immensely, and Square One even more so, because you've brought that to the table, and it's really helped give us an identity.
Yeah. But as if anyone's listening to the podcast right now, my DMs are open all the time if ever you want any advice, because I want British wrestling to look better. There's sometimes it can be embarrassing being on like these amateur jobs on the posters and stuff. And we should take ourselves more seriously, and we should try and present ourselves. If you're going to a job interview and you're wearing like a trashy suit, you're probably not going to get the job. And it's the same with graphic design. It's like if it looks good, you're probably going to attract more people. And like maybe you attract maybe 3 more people, but you still attracted 3 more people.
Well, that's the thing. And if you attract 3 more people, those 3 ticket take-ins are one person's wages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah? Stuff like that. And it is branding, and it is a product. You are a product. And I say this to everyone. Like, it kills me when I say to people, okay, give me your promo pictures, and they're taken on an iPhone in their back room. Or I say, what video footage have you got? Well, I got kind of like a fan cam one from 800 feet back that somebody filmed once at a park. And it's stuff like that. And I'm like, just put the effort in, get this stuff done. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it costs time, but it's an investment.
Yeah, wrestling is a visual art form. It's like, and if you can't be consistent with visual, like, technical side of visual stuff, and kind of having a good level of visual stuff, you're killing yourself at the front door.
Well, here's a little spoiler for anyone listening to this that's on their way up. As a promoter, I don't care what moves you can do. I don't care what amazing matches you've had, and I don't care what incredible feats of athleticism you've managed to pull off. None of that means anything if you hit the inbox and you've got crappy photos that I can't put on a poster and I can't promote you, and you've got nothing that's I can take and sell as a product. because at the end of the day, what we're selling is something that needs to bring money in.
Yes.
As a promoter, I just push it to one side. I'm not interested. I will take someone that's got a great portfolio over someone that has got a dozen 5-star match reviews and no portfolio any day of the week.
Mm.
Any day of the week. So, invest in that. Paddy's done commissions for people. He's done logos. He's done T-shirts. He's done designs for them. He's done untold amount of stuff for people, and it's taken their stuff to the next level. So you contact him, and it's an investment, but anything's an investment. You've got to put the money in to get things out of it. And if you can go to a promoter and you've got a portfolio of stuff, you've got logos, or you've got designs, or you've got even just your own stuff looking better, it'll count for everything.
And also, when I'm working for wrestlers, I'm not charging full price. Like, no one's gonna be paying full price in wrestling for wrestling stuff. And my biggest thing is that I just want wrestling to look better. Just British wrestling should have more respect for itself in that regard.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's got such a reputation as being this kind of back of a shoebox, out of a tin kind of production, and it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be.
With technology today, there's no excuse, literally no excuse. And the amount of things that you can get online for free, it just takes a little bit more like time investment more than anything. Just like give it a Google.
That's absolutely true. Every time somebody says to me about, get this big star in, and their wage is going to be 10 times the average person on the show, I always look at it and go, well, yeah, but that money I'm paying for them that might bring 20 more people in, I'd rather put that towards getting a decent sound system or getting a special entrance way, because people are going to look at that on photos and go, oh, okay. If I want to contact a local newspaper, they're not going to sit and watch a 30-minute match to see how good someone's work rate is. They don't care what somebody's name value is on the independent circuit, but they'll see a picture and go, that looks like a professional outfit.
It makes a difference as well. Like the stuff that since I started to now, like the kind of stuff you're doing with Greg and Laura, like the sound system and everything, and the entranceway, the extra effort that's gone into the entranceway, it makes such a difference to the atmosphere with the audience.
Enormously. And it's all about changing perceptions, because a lot of people have this perception of British wrestling that it's cheap, bad American knockoff. Well, if you can make it look like it's not, then you've got half the battle done. Because I've always seen with people that come along to shows, going past their expectations is the first step. Then once they've been convinced that, okay, this is worth giving it a go, they buy into it. If they're there and it looks dodgy, or it looks a bit shady, or it's not well done, doesn't matter how good the matches are, they won't come back.
Yeah, that's it. It's business as well, isn't it? It's what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Excuse me. So, so going on in terms of the next steps for you, obviously we've got ideas of what we want to do with the character. We've got ideas of what we want to do beyond what we've done thus far. What do you see as the next stage for you, and what do you see as the next evolution of what you're going to be doing next once we actually get back?
Oh gosh, that's a hard. I don't know if I've got any necessarily like specific ideas, because I think I've designed this character, and just the mentality that I have with wrestling in general is to be kind of be able to take things and go with them. So I think whatever there is in the future, I'll be trying to put it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about a couple of bits, and I honestly think, and I'm saying this to everybody as well, when we restart, I think we redefine the term balls to the wall.
Yeah.
I think we just go all in with everything. So, when you're doing the character, rather than having, one themed promo shot, you have a dozen. You do why do a video promo with you doing what you do normally, which are really good? Let's just go all in and have effects on it, or let's get it professionally filmed or whatever. We go all in with everything from now onwards.
Yeah, man. And having this year off, I'm not sure about you, but definitely for me, it's made me so much hungrier. I'm in better shape now. I mean, I've been studying. I've had a year of doing literally nothing. Like I'm sat at home and I'm just watching wrestling, watching tapes, just like studying and studying and studying. I've got literally my girlfriend bought me some notepads, because she's seen how many I'm going through, just like taking notes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that everyone's going to be like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult because we're going to have to rein it in a little bit because everyone's going to want to hit the first show and deliver, the best 5-star performance for 30 minutes possible, and everyone's going to want their first match back to be the most amazing match of their life, and everyone's going to be so driven. It's going to need to be tempered to a degree,
Yeah.
but I think this has given a lot of people a lot of perspective on life,
Mm.
and I think this has given people the perspective to look at this and go, right, okay, when we're back, we've got 12 shows in the year maybe.
Yeah.
And over that 12 shows, here's what I want to achieve and do, and here's the arc I want to do. And we work together on that, and we get these ideas. And now is the opportunity to really start get that branding going. And everyone should have promo videos. Everyone should have viral media. Everyone should have all this stuff. And you have that, we can flood the scene with it. And then the scene can look at it. Because a lot of people are going, oh, everything that's gone on, Brit Res is dead. No, it's just everyone loves to use the phrase that wrestling is evolving.
Mm.
Well, it's evolving to a new generation now. And now it's time for that generation to show everybody things are different. And here's the new version, which is 10 times better than it was before.
Yeah, it's such a big opportunity for guys in our, like I was saying, our cohort, the kind of guys that are at the position, the level that I'm at right now. It's such a big opportunity for us.
Yeah, immensely so. But we'll have to wait and see. But this year has been challenging for me, and I've completely lost my drive and then got it back again. I think the podcast has helped tremendously because I'm getting to interact with people again.
Yeah.
But I'm now getting that hunger back, and now I can see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm now getting a desire back, and I'm now getting those little pet projects in my mind again.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hopeful, very hopeful.
Good.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Right, okay. We've absolutely blitzed through this, Paddy. This is good. We haven't babbled or anything. We've shot through this, but we'll get on to the bit that I get on to everybody else on the personal side. So, obviously, you're still very young in the career, still very early days, but that aside, you've had a lot of matches thus far compared to some people.
Mm.
If you were to say one match that you've had thus far that you would pick out as your favourite, your proudest match that you've been a part of, what would you pick?
Oh, is it a cop out if I pick a Rumble? Because
no, not at all.
Last year, not even last year, is it? It's 2 years ago now. Is it? I don't even know. I've been in lockdown for too long, man.
I don't know what time it is anymore. Don't ask me.
What year it is, or I don't know how I'm going to reintegrate into society. To be honest, I've been a hermit for a year. The Rumble was Lava 3. Floors made a Lava 3, where I was in it from the beginning to the end. Just because I felt like I was out there for an hour. I got to be my character for an hour. I got to apply my character to like a million different situations. I got to prove that I could remember an hour's match. Because we in UBW, we don't rumbles. We have spots and stuff. The entire match is spots.
Yep.
We don't have a punch and kick rumble. So having to remember a bunch of people's like timings and spots and what they were going to do when they came in, when to get out of the way, everything like that. And then to be at the end of that rumble and then do a spot with Spike at the end, which got a massive pop for me being eliminated. That was probably the best thing I've done in wrestling.
Then that's just really good because every time Lava comes around, I always have the same thing. I always have half a dozen people coming to me going, "Hey, I want to be the Iron Man. I want to be the 1 till 30 guy. I want to be the one to show you what I've got." I always get several people doing it every time, every year. But with this one, it was always in my mind for it to be you anyway, because we were starting to build towards that. Okay, this is Paddy's time to move to the top bracket now. But also, I wanted you to have the chance to have your character out there for an hour to really drive that into people as to who your character is. And I wanted you to do, literally, to quote the quote, I wanted you to do the Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Of making that rumble yours and showing everyone who you are and it elevating you up a level. And I think it did. Because I think at the end of it, I think you and Spike had that real kind of HBK Bulldog Rumble 95, 94, 95 thing to it. And the entire idea was to get you over and show you as being, okay, he's the next one to be the guy to be the main event.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, you did. And I was worried because I was thinking like, He's going to get 20 minutes into this and he's going to be bollocksed. He's going to be done. But no, you kept on going.
I could have done 2 Rumbles.
There we go. There's the arrogance I'm looking for. There we go. No, but you did. You absolutely owned the Rumble, and it was great. And you came out of that looking like, yeah, you are the heir apparent kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was very good. So, as an aside to that, on taking your personal stuff out of the way, what would you say is a favourite match you've ever watched?
The first one that comes to mind, it's probably not the best match, but it's the first one that comes to mind would be Triple H and Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000, the Texas Death Match.
The New York Madison Square Garden one.
Yeah, that one. Just because it's a childhood favorite. Because back then, I mean, he's ruined his reputation in my mind since then because he just never went away. But back then, Mick Foley was like my hero, and seeing him in that position, doing everything he does to perfection, being that martyr that he was, suffering for his art, that was one of the biggest inspirations in my life.
It was a really good match, and I think, to be honest, 20 years on, it still stands as strong as it ever did. I think it took Cactus to that next level, and yeah, he'd been a main event beforehand, but he always came across as the guy who'd lucked his way into the main event.
Yeah.
Whereas with that one, for me, that made me go, okay, yeah, this guy is a main event player.
Definitely.
It helped his character that much. And it gave Triple H a lot of credibility as well because people saw that and went, "Oh, okay, he can take his lumps as well."
He hadn't done anything like that beforehand. Then he was in there mixing it with Mick Foley. But it's also at my age at that time. How old was I? Don't know. I'm not going to do maths on air. At that time, I'd never seen like a Texas Death Match before. That was the first one I'd ever seen. I'd never seen anything like that. I only watched WWE and WCW, and that's 90s WCW and WWE. So I'd never seen anything like that.
Oh, my sweet summer child. Yeah. It was really good for what it was. It was really good for, and if you look at the whole breadth of wrestling of Texas Death Matches, Last Man Standing matches, all hell to the leather matches, it's still one of the better ones. There's not many that can stand above it because the pacing was so good in it and the psychology was so good. It built so well.
Well, that's it. I'm a massive fan of death matches. I'm a massive fan of hardcore wrestling, as you know, because every time we have a show, I'm like, Paul, can I go through this table or something?
So hold on. When we did the Luton show and you and Big Joe and you were like, "Oh yeah, can I use barbed wire? No. Can I use glass? No. Can I use any of these deadly? No, you can't."
There's like 5 people in the audience, to be fair. So.
Glad we nixed that one. But yeah, that was a really good match. Nice choice.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of those, but like I'm also a massive fan of ring psychology. When you get like the WWE ones, or even like the barbed wire match that ended in a dud the other day, like when you apply like good psychology to them, they can be fucking amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, like you say, it's the psychology, having a bit of sense to it and having a bit of a story to it. Like, I'll be criticised, I'm sure, for being old school in this, but if you get thrown into barbed wire, stay down for a bit. If you get hit with a baseball bat, go down. Whereas a lot of that nowadays is dead because everyone thinks you're in a video game. But you tell the story the proper way in a violent, hardcore street fight, death match, whatever. It can still be a I mean, you've seen, I imagine, War Games '92, the Sting's Squadron and Dangerous Alliance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half an hour and there's blood everywhere. It's violent, yet it's a tremendously told story because it's building towards the baby faces saving the heels and even in the odds and all the storylines that are intermingled in with it. And it's an amazing story with it. And pretty much anything that Cactus has ever done, because he's so good at that stuff, done properly, it can be great.
Well, at the end of the aforementioned match with Big Joe, when I was asking him for feedback, he sent me a bunch of links for, I think it was Raven's Hardcore Diaries or whatever it's called. There's a lot of the psychology behind those matches. And when you see those matches and they're literally just 2 people hitting each other with stuff, it's like, it gives it such a bad reputation. But when it's done right, I think there's some of the best matches out there.
There's a reason why Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger are more fondly remembered and Stallone as action stars than Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
It's a very easy. Steven Seagal never took a hit, never got hurt, never showed pain, never bled, and it didn't do him any favors. Whereas the other guys, they could put emotion and psychology into their stuff, and you can blow up as many things as you want, but nothing will come close to John McClane walking through glass.
Yeah.
Because you've got the emotional side of it.
Exactly that.
But no, you still can't use panes of glass, Paddy.
Why?
Because no. We haven't got the insurance, for God's sake.
I'll waiver it. Give me a
no. Anyway, so we'll move on to a couple of last bits. So there's something else I always ask everybody, and I think this is sometimes a bit of a better kind of delve into their personal psyche than anything else you can ask them about wrestling. So Desert Island.
Oh no.
You're allowed to take with you one album.
Yeah.
/ if you really can't decide, I'll give you an out on that. But one album, one movie or TV show, and one object. And no, it can't be a living person or creature, and it can't be a mobile phone. I'm going to put caveats in.
This is hard, man.
It is.
I'm really bad with music at the moment because I've not listened to music in ages. I never remember albums either. I just kind of listen to music as it comes.
So I'll give you an out then. You can have the entire works of one artist.
Maybe Soundgarden.
Ooh.
Because then you get a bit of everything. It's not just balls to the wall metal, and it's not like all crying. There's a bit of everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
What was my second question?
One movie or TV show.
I can't think of a single TV show right now. I don't know.
Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, The Wire, Red Dwarf.
Oh shit!
There's loads out there.
Oh man, I watch YouTube. I don't know.
YouTube's tracking you, man.
I know they are.
You're watching DVDs.
No, that's why you got to use the special ones. You got to use the fancy. I don't know about TV show.
One movie then.
One movie would be Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3,
Die
interesting.
Hard 3 is my favorite one. I know Die Hard 1 is your favorite one, but
well, naturally. Why 3? Out of interest.
It's a bit of everything. It goes all over the place. It evolves from the formula. It's got an emotional backbone to it. It's got all the action you want. It's an adventure more than it is just being stuck in an action scene. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it, which everything does. Yeah, I just like.
It's very different to the first one because the first one goes through the gears and it builds. But Die Hard 3 is much like Con Air in that it starts in about third gear, hits fifth, and does not let down till the end.
Yeah.
It's a thrill ride.
Yeah, that's it. And it presents itself that way. And then it's got that as its core narrative theme as well.
Okay. And your object?
Object, shit. My guitar.
Nice.
Done.
Nice. I think Tam chose his guitar as well.
Oh, did he? Bad attitude. There you go. Done.
See? That tag team synergy's always there.
Yeah. We can jam if we're ever stuck on an island together.
I like it. Yeah, you form like a little two-man band and perform for the Seagulls. Why the hell not? Good choices. Okay. So we'll finish up. I'll have my little bit and then you get yours. So I often use this spot to blow smoke up people's asses. I'm not going to do that with you because I hate that. You, like I said to you earlier, you have unlimited potential, and I think the only thing that's working against you at the moment is your humility, which is good to have. It's essential to have. It's having a balance. But you're at that point now where I think you can start flexing a bit, and you can start saying, you know what? I am a brand. I am a commodity. I am this. I am that. Get me on your shows. And hopefully when we get back to shows, we'll be able to put that in practice even more. You have so much talent, so much ability, and you've been a backbone of our shows for so long, where whether you've been opening the show, finishing the show, 6-man tag, ladder match, singles match, tag match, you've been a consistent, and that is essential. And you've had standout moments as well. your tag match with Johnny and Jody, your first Rumble, the last Lava Rumble, all the stuff you've done with Spike have been standout matches on every show. I think, you are one of those people that can do everything. You have a skill set in everything, and you're ready to break through and show everybody else on the world that. Um, it's been a pleasure having you on shows because you've never been problematic. I have various people that they can be a pain in the arse, they can be a problem, they can be difficult, but that's never been a thing with you. You've always been the easiest person to deal with, and that's why you'd always have a job for life with me. But it's been a pleasure having you on, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to do the next stage. You're one of the projects I'm most excited about getting back to.
If only I didn't know you were using this podcast to create an AI of my voice.
It's already done. I've already got them onto you. We've already got you in files and everything.
Oh no.
So go on. So now's your chance to say a little bit about anything. Here's your platform. And don't use it to thank me, for God's sake. I don't take compliments.
No, I can thank you all day long because none of us would be anything right now if it wasn't for the fact that we turned up to UBW around about all around about the same time, and we went there and we weren't treated like something to make money from. You weren't there at the door like collecting cash and like not caring what we did. You were there like in the DMs whenever we needed you, whenever we needed some inspiration or to like put an idea past you, and you still are now. Like the other day, I sent you my wrestling CV to see if if it's good enough to go to other places, and you kind of made sure that everybody spoke to each other. Everybody like became a unit and stuck together in this industry. So yeah, if it wasn't for you and giving like the kind of heart and soul to UBW, we wouldn't have been. We wouldn't. I don't think any of us would have got as far as we're getting right now.
Well, I don't know. I think you're talented enough. You would have done it no matter what. But my interest has always been harnessing people. We have to make money, of course we do, because that feeds the shows. But I've never been in this to make money. I'm always there for people because, okay, a bunch of you call me dad anyway, and I've not got kids of my own that I know of, but you are my kids, and your welfare inside and outside of the ring is what I care about. And because I've spent my entire adult life doing this, it's been wonderful, it's been terrible, it's been highs and it's been lows, but all I've ever wanted for any of you guys is to have the opportunity to do this to the level that I have, and to be able to look back at this in 20 years and go, oh, God, that was fun. I had good memories with that.
Yeah.
So I want to make that as easy as possible, make that as painless as possible, and open up whatever doors I can do. And, getting people like Johnny and Jody in, getting people in to help everyone work with and better themselves. That's all my interest has ever been.
But you've also been such a good influence on us because the things you were just giving me praise for earlier on in this podcast, saying like you've got a level head about this, you're thinking about your future, all the things that I was saying about like I still want to be giving to this business later on when I've stopped actually wrestling. Like I got that from you. Because when we see you doing those things and we see you kind of giving without expecting to take and stuff like that, I think that's where we as a class got our mentality from.
Well, you want to get a GoFundMe and give me some money, you're more than welcome to. No, I put everything into this because that's what I want out of it. And when I'm finished and done, all I want to do is see people go on. Like, I watched NXT UK for the first time since it started the last couple of weeks ago, just to see Pretty Deadly do their stuff, because they're not mine. I haven't trained them, but they're people that I care about, and I wanted to see them do their stuff. And more and more people are getting on there now that have got history with me or have gone through training with me or whatever. I just want to see them do well. I don't care about anything else beyond that. I don't. I'm never gonna lay claim to them on a public forum or anything, or insist I get an interview to go, yeah, well, I was the one that trained this person. No, I just want to see them do well. That's where I get my kicks out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the mentality that a lot of people need in wrestling. I think that's definitely why I help people with graphics and stuff more than anything. It's like in a lot of instances, I'm like, pay me by getting over. You know,
Mm.
like, why not? Why aren't we more communist out there?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you there, comrade.
Yeah, and
Well, Paddy, this has been a pleasure, and you've actually you've helped me keep this under 2 hours as well, which I've been promising everyone I'd do. But at the same time, we've gone through everything really well, and it's been really enjoyable because we've been getting to a more personal level, and I think everyone's got more of a feel of you now as well because you're not in everybody's face all the time talking about yourself, which some people do to a detriment. But people are starting to understand who you are now, and more people on the circuit are starting to understand what you bring to the table. So I'm really looking forward to what we do when we start back again and we get you to that next level. And like I say to everybody else, when you get that big time contract and you're out there earning millions, I'll settle for 10%. It's fine.
yeah, no, that's yeah. We'll see.
Totally fair.
I want to call. I want to clarify that I'm not a
Whatever you say, Comrade Lenin.
comment.
Whatever you say. No, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you for this. So, yeah, let's hope that we can get back to shows soon, and let's hope we can get the second version of the Irish gimmick going.
Oh my god, don't even.
I think we go full in this time. I think we get a full-on leprechaun outfit.
Oh no. Oh,
You got to learn the Irish jig.
that's not far off what it was.
Yeah, I know. Hey, look, we've all got a dark past. Leave it now. Paddy, thank you for this, mate. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much, Paul.
I look forward to getting this up online, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. See you later.